Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. I am finding it impossible to relax. I've been through this 20 times already, trying to make this nice smooth intro. So let's just get right into it. I want to use this channel to review some of the gear that we use in the field, and I also want to use this channel to upload some media that I've been shooting and offer tips and tricks, show you some of the things that I use in the field to sort of help me produce cinematic film out of a suitcase, because often I'm traveling. And also looking in the comments for your constructive criticism. I think we can help each other out by really perfecting the craft. And so let's hope this channel is useful to you. This piece I'm going to show you is a 3-minute piece I did out in Uganda, showing the need of young women and girls in the field who just have no hope of getting an education and getting ahead in the world. That was kind of the brief that was presented to me. We drug out 2 Blackmagic cinema cameras out there, a drone, simple Mavic drone, and some audio and sliders, and that was about it, yeah, and me. So it was really just looking around the countryside for a week and a half and just shooting anything I could see that would apply to, what the script was. It really wasn't a script, to be honest. It was really like, here's the need, make it evident. So in looking around, I really was impressed by the resolve of these women and how much they can handle and how much they can go through and still push on ahead. So a lot of things we stumbled across by accident and we were surprised at, and a lot of the things we jumped on immediately in an emergency situation and just shot very quickly in something that wasn't planned. So you have to be ready for those things. I guess what I'm saying is sometimes you've got to go in with a loose plan. Don't go in with no plan, but go in with a loose plan, being ready to film things spontaneously. And letting the story kind of weave and meander and slightly change from what you set out to do. And I think that's what you're gonna bring back from that is reality. You're gonna bring back something tangible and real to your film instead of, well, I really wanted to shoot it this way, or I really was stuck on this scene. You want to try and avoid that, even though you want to stick to your style. You want to allow boots on the ground kind of thing to help also determine the story a little more than just what you have in your head as a cinematographer. So let me run through this for you, I'll let you watch it quick, and then we'll get into it. All over the world, young girls become slaves to circumstance. Global Seed Planters provides simple life solutions that lead women from desperation to destiny.
I was that woman. I was that woman. I was that girl. I was that woman.
Join our movement today and be involved in the change coming to young women all over the world. One young girl waits for you or is forever lost. Okay, hopefully that had its desired effect and you're all looking to help a child and make a change. You know, let me just take you through a few elements of that film. The quarry was a mistake. We took a wrong turn somewhere, came around a corner, and all of a sudden we ran into this quarry, which actually is commonplace in Uganda. So we spent 2 days filming, my big team, my big crew, it's me. I spent 2 days filming there, some drone shots, a lot of slider, on the ground shooting. And even shooting can be a little hostile because, you need to make relationships before you start shooting. They weren't happy with us shooting them at the beginning, but in the end, we were all great friends. So I shot there for 2 days, and then the brush fire was a complete accident. We were in the middle of filming the pregnant lady, and that was a complete setup where I knew I wanted to show how women literally give birth in the field, and they have no medical help, and a lot of them die giving birth. So I knew the kind of shots I was looking for that, and I know it was staged, and hopefully it's fine for it to appear staged because a lot of things, like when you watch a documentary, a lot of things are staged. But I told the woman the acting has to be real or it's not going to go in. And she was phenomenal. And I just had this shot in my head where I'm up a tree and I'm just looking down at this lady just giving birth in the middle of nowhere. So that's where that came from. And as we kind of packed up and we were kind of, joking around together and enjoying the day, we drove down the road and there's this huge brush fire. Well, I used to work for the news. I used to freelance. So I'm used to just jumping out of a vehicle and just filming things that are moving and happening. So I jumped out and I filmed this hut, and right before I laid the camera down, this lady ran out of the hut with a baby in her arms. I mean, boy, if I had that shot. Then I span around, this little girl was just looked right into the lens, and you just have to let things happen. You just have to, absorb it. Now, the little girl was fine. I knew she was out of danger. She was on her way out, but on her way out, she stopped to look at me. And I'll show you how it looks a lot worse in the film than it really was. Still 20-foot flames behind her, mind you, and there was great cause of concern, and there were people screaming and yelling and all over the place. Actually, it ended up being a pretty good experience because the next day we went back and we asked if we could film the burnt out huts. There were 4 huts that were burnt out, which is what those shots come from. And when we got there, there were just a bunch of women and children, anyone from 5 years old to 92, sitting under a tree like wet dogs, just, in the rain, just had nothing, no way to go back to school, no way to farm, no way to sleep at night. How much did it cost to rebuild their lives and rebuild those 4 huts and give them clothing and school supplies? $120, So the team quickly wrote a check. It wasn't my team, it was the team I was shooting with. Wrote a check and just helped facilitate the rebuilding of their lives. So the fire really was a gift. It really was in our minds and in their minds, really was a fortunate it was a fortunate, unfortunate event. Anyway, so that's where that scene came from. And then the scene at the end, the little girl, the real clincher scene, ironically, is actually a time where it was our first day of shooting and we were looking for sunset. The sun was going down. It was golden hour. Let's go get some people by the well. Let's go get people fetching water. And I was dealing with a new team who haven't shot with me before. And I'm very sniper style shooting. I try to let things just happen naturally. And they were kind of interacting with the people and giggling, and they're all trying to carry water. And it was just like, this is so wrong. And the light's disappearing. And I span around, saw this girl. I'm like, well, I'll shoot this girl. Shot her. And then she ends up being the absolute clincher to the end of the movie. So you can never tell when you're scooping up all this media where the story is going to go until you get to the editing booth. And that really dictates, the final result. So I was so annoyed at that day. I was so frustrated that it just didn't work out. And I said, is this going to be the tone that's going to be set for the rest of the shoot? And I just, for the rest of the week. And yet ended up being a very useful shot. And I can't tell you the amount of times it's happened in my shooting. So I spend a lot of time just shooting, just gathering a lot of media and letting the media tell the story back in the editing booth. Again, you have a script, you have a plan, but often that plan will get readjusted quite severely from what you've seen and what you've experienced. And some of your worst days can end up being the saving shot. And I can take you through some other films that would illustrate that. So I guess I'll just run through a little bit of the technical. Let's see what we have going on here. So this shot I knew I wanted. This is shot actually in Kenya later, but I knew I wanted a scene where you could just hear the screams and cries of women in the wilderness. So I knew I needed a shot that didn't show houses. It just showed misty woods. Like, is there even even a house down there? Is there any civilization at all? So that's what that was. Both these shots were shot with the Mavic, which is a great little drone. I used to drag around the DJI Inspire, and that was a pain in the butt to drag around in the woods. And such an event to launch it and fly it, and it's just always having problems. The Mavic, with some grading, you can really make it work. I should turn down the volume here. So again, this is the final shot. And what makes this look worse is there's a lot of flames in front of those flames actually are a duplicate of the flames behind. So with some clever Final Cut work and some keying, I was able to bring another set of flames in front of the main action. And that's what enabled this shot to look so desperate. And it still was dangerous. She was in a lot of danger, and I was ready to help her, but I just wanted to get at least 5 seconds in the lens. And she was very far away and on her way out. And I've shot enough fires and accidents and tragedies in my lifetime to know when's a good time to set the camera down and help somebody before I get all your hate mail. Like I said, we were able to rebuild their lives, and it was just fantastic. It was a very moving experience. So this little girl, perfect shot. But then I added a lot of flames in the front here. With 4K, you're able to snap right in and zoom in a little harder. I don't like digital zoom, but 4K and Blackmagic when you're shooting raw, it's acceptable, especially when it's 1080p deliverable. I would have said absolutely no way in the past, but these cameras are something else. So anyway, a lot of flame, and there's a lot of work that goes into blurring the flame and making it the right depth, and now you're going to pick through it and you're going to see it. But I added a lot of smoke. I added a lot of black ash, which is just kind of dust particles that you can actually purchase from places. I guess I could link descriptions. It's been so long since I purchased them. A lot of black ash, a lot of things just to lift the shot. There's also a rippling effect, which looks like heat haze. So again, just how can I take this shot? I don't like to say fake it, but what you want to do is, how did that shot hit you in the chest? Didn't want to bang my mic here. How did it hit you in the heart? And so how do you make it hit somebody else in the heart? For me, just to show you the plain shot would be, well, it's pretty, ooh, it doesn't look too good. Whereas the way you saw it was like, holy smokes. And that's what you wanted, and that's the way it felt to see it. So you never want to veer on the side of faking something, but you want to bring to bear the impact that it made. And sometimes you have to use few extra elements to help that happen. So here we have several elements. We have flames in front of the child, we have smoke, we have potash flying around, we have rippling heat, haze. Again, with the hut, there's a lot of heat, haze going on in here. All of that is done in the editing booth. Just looking for maximum impact. And then we go into this shot here, the burning huts. Again, a lot of smoke. But as I'm drifting the drone over, and again, this is a drone shot, believe it or not, I'm moving that smoke with me. Otherwise, it just looks like fake smoke. Again, there's some ash left over. There's some cinders. It's like still smoking, still burning. You can still smell it. And that's what you want to communicate. And then the ticking of the hammer makes you think, oh, rebuilding, they're repairing. But no, it's the shock of just sheer slavery. These women are in this quarry, 75 cents a day, just banging rock in the heat, carrying 250 to 300 pounds worth of rock out of this quarry barefoot. And I can testify that's true because they're this big and this deep, and I went to grab one and I could barely get it above my waist. So again, some slide shots here. I used the Edelkrone slider, motorized slider. It's good. We'll review that some other time, but it does take a little bit of work. This is the drone. Again, with the right grading, you can get it to match up. And 90% of my shooting in these situations are telephoto because I'm looking for natural results. I mean, I'm probably 400 feet away from this young lady. And she knows I'm filming her because they have eyesight and hearing you can't even believe. And she's not happy. But later in the week, like I said, we made friends and helped them a lot, actually. And it's worth doing. It's worth blessing the culture you're filming. You know, not in a handout, but in a way that supports them for the future and help them understand what you're doing. So this shot, I have 100 of these shots that are just, how do you pick one? But this shot was particularly telling with the fire behind her. And I did a lot of grading and vignetting and different things. This was shot with a DJI Osmo with the X5, which I've since sold. X5 is a decent camera, hard to grade with. It's nowhere near the Blackmagics, but it's rumored to be the same chip as, or came from a chip from Blackmagic, but that's a rumor. It's hard to film. Anyway, now that I have the Canon 1DX and I'd love to get a Ronin, that's what this shot needed. But anyway, this took a lot of grading, this shot. And again, there's a lot of optical flow going on. There's a lot of slow motion. I can only shoot 30p on these cameras. I don't have reds. I don't have, we're not there yet, but we'll see. And you got to be careful with optical flow. And again, I use a lot of little light flares just to kind of be distracting. And that helps with a shot that hasn't got quite the quality like the drone shots. There'll be a little light flare going on. There'll be a lot of heavy grading. And again, the loneliness, just the loneliness of this shot. This was actually taken with an iPhone 7 Plus because I don't have slow motion. Now I do. I have the 1DX 1080p 120 frames. I can't wait to try that. It's not brilliant, but it's better than this. So now you're gonna see that, and any person worth their salt would have seen it immediately. But I'm thinking in a deliverable in Vimeo like that, I might get away with it. You know, I don't see one bruised finger or broken nail. It's amazing. And these guys are pounding rock all day. I'm surprised they can even see. Little children. So, okay. Now we're showing the desperation of this shot was all planned. Whoa. And I look for your feedback. You know, should I have done this shot a better way? You know, I was trying to show this scene of a woman. But again, when I left the quarry, the first thing I said to the team that was running and who hired me, the Global Seed Planter team, I said, listen, we're going to hurt some people with this film because I was so moved. And so how do you piece together the problem with pregnancy, the problem with, labor in the field, the problem with, not being able to finish your education, the problem with slave labor. It's not even slave labor. They volunteer to do that, but it's like slave labor. How do you illustrate? I just felt I needed to hit at least 5 of these problems right in the face and then say, you can make it. There's people out there in the field that are working hard to make a change and you can contribute. This is one of my favorite shots. And to be honest, I stole it from Mel Gibson. If anyone's seen The Passion when Jesus has been crucified and then they show his crown of thorns and the 2 nails and the dust is blowing over and it's just that symbol that's like, it's over. What a showpiece of it just says so much, that shot, that it's over, it's done. And it just it would illustrate so powerfully to me the moment of all of that had happened. And so I kind of stole that idea. I was drizzling some dust and the slider was motorized, so I was doing this kind of thing. And then this was completely staged and it was very difficult to get them to understand what you wanted. So I'm not completely happy with this part, but she did have those eyes that were just... I ended up buying her hammer, actually, that she uses, and you can see all her nail prints and all the smacking that was done. And of course, I overpaid for it on purpose, but Yeah, I keep this on my desk to remind me if I'm having a bad day. Sometimes say a prayer for these young ladies. And we're doing a lot to help them, and this video is going to generate a lot of funding. So the water problem, and these girls, I needed to illustrate, girls who, once they have their period, they're out of school, it's over for them. So I needed to kind of illustrate that. And again, slow-mo done with the iPhone. Unforgivable. I think this isn't the finished edit. This is close to the finished edit. We're going to go through, and I think I might even draw some of the color out of this, because that's another trick you can use. If you can suck color out of something, black and whites always look better than color. You're more critical of color. So I might take some color out of this. Not all of it, but I might reduce the color a little bit and do a kind of look to it, because the next shot actually has very little color. So, and this was our last day. This was literally the last hour. We were running all over the place. The sun was going down. We're leaving tomorrow on the plane very early. I just want to get this one shot of this girl who is walking home, but she's not on the path. She's off in the woods. She's not on the trail that everyone else uses. She's in the field, not too far away, but close enough to realize she's gone off her trail. She's gone off the beaten path, because now she has a whole set of circumstances that she has to deal with alone. And so that's the kind of look I wanted, just that drawing away, that loneliness. I love it. It didn't have the lighting and everything that I wanted, but we were pushing it, and I just wanted that set up. Love this shot. And this is the theme that kept running through my head. I wanted them to say, I was that girl, I was that woman, and now I'm free. Now I have a future. Now I am, I have a job, I have a place to work, I have a home. It's very real what's happening there, and it's very real the change you can make. It's very low-hanging fruit. It's so easy to make a difference, and that's why I'm really addicted to filming out there. This is going to thrill you. These are all my voice, because we haven't finished the edit yet, but I wanted to submit something to them and say, listen, this is where we're going with this. So it's me going, I was that woman. So thank you for not noticing if you didn't notice. And yeah, I guess top score to you who did notice. This woman I just saw in a meeting, and she was wearing this huge headdress, and I'm just, girl, you are an African queen. I need you against a brick wall, and I need to film your headdress. I don't know where I'm going with that. So you soak up a lot of material, and that's what I recommend, is just keep shooting. It's when you get home you make your final decisions on how the script really is going to evolve. And to me, it's a shining example of, this is a beautiful African woman. This is the pride of Africa. And so I kind of wanted that in my bag, if you like. I wanted that in my... And then this is the final shot. Again, the optical flow is a little messy because I don't have high-speed cameras. And then I fade it into black and white just to show we're giving you opportunity, but that opportunity is disappearing. So even the beauty and the health of this shot is disappearing. And then obviously just some credits that we've got to think through and see if that's what we're going to finish with. So again, I hope this has helped a little bit. Again, I'm doing a lot of zooming, digital zooming here. I think it helps. I mean, if I wouldn't do that if I had a studio, I would never do digital zooming. And I've limited to maybe 120%. But when you're in the field and you bring a carry-on, this big, you have to do what you can do. I always shoot in wide format. Let's see, anything else? And I like this shot where it finishes on the piano note. It just gives you that sense it's over. She's gone. She's another person that's lost because now she has a period and she can never go back to school. Nothing really else. Again, a lot of use of sun flares and things like that helps give richness to your shot without overdoing it. I'm not a fan of like complete orange, where you see these wedding photographers that everything's just orange. That's a look and that's fine. But that's just not what I'm into. But I am into, a little bit of flicker and flare just to give you that you know, that you feel the light on your eyes. You're not just watching a television. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. There's some things in here that I've done that, especially these early shots where it really shows how we made them richer, made the impact. Talked about how, you know, try to imply how the shot hit you, how the moment hit you, and use things to do that where you're not faking something, but you're just trying to represent it the way it hit you. Hopefully that's helpful. I'm open to comments, constructive criticism, a little bit of hate maybe. And I'd like to upload some others and maybe talk about others, and maybe talk, if you'd like to have me review the equipment, that'd be great. But I'm trying to see if the channel has any, you know, traction to it, see if this is actually useful to people. So if it grows, then I would be happy to put more work into it. But if it doesn't grow, this might be the last one. But thanks for joining me. Leave your questions and comments below. The beauty of being a small channel is I can answer all your questions. I'd love to hear back from you. And look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks.